Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans of the truth all over the world, my name's Robert Huddleston, and today we're going to discuss the world's fastest growing religion, scientism. Scienceism. Scienceology. Not to be confused with Scientology, the other science fiction religion. If you are a hardline, I believe science atheist, you probably won't get much from this. If you are a middle of the road Christian who half believes the Bible and half believes science, and you spackle in science facts and allegory to fill in the places where you can't believe God, you might get something from this. You have to first ask, at what point did we start believing science more than God? I remember I followed a doctor, a kettlebell instructor on social media, European neuroscientist, and when it listed his religious views, this was a decade ago, it said, I'm a scientist. I believe science. Like, oh, I'd never heard it put like that. Like, I believe science, that science is my religion. We hear that all the time now. Believe science. Believes. I mean, in the past 3 years, believe science has really become a science wills it. We hear a scientist say it, and then all kinds of not scientists. There was a point when you believed the Bible first. If you're a Christian, there was a point where you believed God created the heavens and the earth, and that He created man and woman. Well, we try to juxtapose the story of creation times the Big Bang story of creation. Well, when God said He did so in 7 days, and I've done this, I can't guarantee which is which, because God somewhere else says in the Bible, a day is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day to Him. Then, well, how long was that original 7 days? So it's easy for a Christian American scientismer to say, oh, well, that was allegorical. What was a day to God was not a day to us. And I've done that. I think that is a mistake. I think that leads to, we can now rationalize science over the Bible. God says He did it in 7 days. I'm going to take Him at His word. He says He created light before He created the sun and the moon. I'm going to take Him at His word. There was a time when we all took, everybody knew the earth was flat. Heliocentric pagans started calling their religion science and started using math against you. They came up with it's still the heliocentric theory. You can go look it up. Just like germ theory. Every sailor looked at the sky, sailed over the horizon, did all these things knowing the earth was indeed flat. When we all stopped actually sailing is when they convinced us the earth was round. Before anybody could build a boat, charter a boat, and sail. We all can't just get in a boat and sail. We all can't just get in a plane and fly. Yes, I know we can all buy a plane. Well, you actually can't buy a plane ticket today just to be buying one. But I don't have the ability to hop in my plane and just fly wherever I want to prove flat Earth. In fact, every time somebody has tried that, they've been jailed. Somewhere, so I don't believe the last 2 or so thousand years occurred. I have a strong belief that the time of Rome, Christ, Caesar was around 4, 5, 6, 800 years ago tops. All of the things they claimed happened in the Dark Ages and in the Renaissance actually happened on this side of the earth. There is a map from the late 1700s, early 1800s that shows that there was a great nation, Tartaria, over all of Russia, and that it shared the same colored borders with America. That North America was once part of the Tartarian Empire. So all of that happened without you knowing it. They scrubbed it from our history. And around 200-300 years ago, they came up with the modern American story of how science and ingenuity and manifest destiny prevails. And somewhere in the last century, science really became the new god. I worked with a chef. She was a young chef. She was in charge of me, actually. When she graduated high school, we were talking about vaccines. I'm like, don't get your kids vaccinated when you have kids. And she's like, well, how will they have immune systems? How will their immune systems develop? I'm like, you were taught that you don't have an immune system, probably. But who knows what pagan nonsense they're teaching you in schools. So there was a time when we all knew that you had an immune system, the earth was flat, it was 8,000 years old. Everybody was okay with these things. As recently as like 1850. All the stories you were told of the Civil War, that was another great reset. Didn't happen the way you thought it happened. And that was around the time Charles Darwin founded the modern study of biology. All of biology is based on Darwin's theory. So, I ask you, the Christian, at what point did you stop believing the Bible as opposed to saying, no, the Bible says this, you're just some science guy? Flat Earth is too far. People are like, I can't believe that. There's too much science. Remember, every time you say science, you're saying there's too much pagan religion out there for me to believe Christianity. There was a time we all knew the earth was flat. You as a Christian, do you believe you came from dinosaurs? Do you believe you evolved from an ape? Now again, if you're an atheist scientist, you're screaming at me saying, well, yes, of course. But if you don't believe, if you're like, no, God created me. God created you the way he said in the Bible, but it was on a globe, not a flat earth. So you can believe, you can look at the scientist, the public school, the atheist, and reject his notion of evolution. But then you can't reject his notion of round earth. So that leading me to today is the vaccines coming out. And I'm all over Twitter and I hear people saying, trust science, trust science. My brother's some Tur from CNN. Brother's a doctor. She's showing the video of him getting his vaccine and she asks, weren't you afraid? And he says, well, no, of course not. I believe science. And then the responses to the tweet were just, hail science, believe science. My brother's a doctor. He's going to get it too. Be sure to take pictures of such a proud moment. Like a baptism. Be sure to take pictures of your brother getting a medical treatment. Now medical treatment is the new religious ritual. Everybody has a medical disorder. I'm the only person I know who's not on a pill. My wife and I don't take a pill. Don't have a recurring thing we see the doctor for over and over. Don't have a standing condition we check a box for. I don't know anyone else. Everyone's on a pill. Everyone's got a problem. Everyone's got an ache. Well, they're now biologically in debt to science. Their body isn't right without holy science to fix them. Now, mind you, I grew up overweight, smoking cigarettes, not exercising, eating garbage. If anybody should need medical intervention, it should be me. But I do not trust science. I can't say when the worm turned. I would say it was Charles Darwin. There was a time we rejected that we came from apes. We would reject that the earth didn't have four corners. Well, we took God out of our lives. We took God out of society. We went to public schools, which are just pagan indoctrination centers, all the way to now adult women believe they don't have an immune system without a vaccine. That your child is born like missing a corporate product. But why wouldn't she believe that? That's what we've been taught for 100 years. Jonas Salk saved all those kids with polio. And I brought that up to this girl was 20. And immediately she's like, well, my grandfather had polio. I'm like, no, he didn't. He didn't have polio. There's no such thing. He had DDT poisoning. They brought out the vaccine as soon as they stopped spraying people with DDT. They didn't have to spray you with DDT anymore. They could pump it into you. Hope this video doesn't get banned for saying that V word too many times. Yeah, we're doing this new thing where only the acceptors of the holy science get to live in polite society. And they're doing it that way. You can't Ticketmaster. Like, well, screw Ticketmaster. You can't go to places without what will ultimately be a mark of the beast, if not the mark of the beast. Show your tattoos, show your stickers, show your papers. And we're now going to make a memorial of the 200,000, 300,000 people that died. I mean, I personally know plenty of people who died of renal failure, who died of old age, who died of things that were not the Corona-19, whatever, COVID, the Cordoba, that were not that, but that went down in the paper, and the families are pissed, but what do you do? Like, that's like, it's on paper, and the beast accepts it now. So you gotta look back at the Civil War, World War II, the Great Depression, the War of 1812. I don't believe any of these things happened the way they say they did now. They're able to just put out a narrative, and the people that know the truth, like, they couldn't make a YouTube video like I'm doing now. You just died knowing the truth. Like, I don't know what happened in World War I. I know what people want me to know. I know what Edward Bernays wanted me to know. I don't know what happened in World War II. I mean, I watched Schindler's List. I know what Spielberg would like me to know. I know how Tom Hanks feels about World War II. But I wasn't there. And save it, I know, you know some hero who fought and died in World War II 100 years ago. Sure. I know that in my lifetime, I've spoke to Korean vets and Vietnam vets and Desert Storm vets and Iraq vets and Afghanistan vets, and well, every one of them said it really wasn't what you thought it was. Well, then I'm going to wager World War II and World War I wasn't. So, somewhere in this last 100, 200 years, especially since TV, 50 years, society has literally built it's why they make movies like The Matrix. They have to show you. No, you don't live in a computer simulation. They don't need to physically trap you in a computer. They've used the mechanism in your mind to frame the way that they know they could say it to you enough that it would shape the way you view the world. So when the big V comes around, I would recommend not taking it. They're already scrubbing people getting Bell's palsy. There's a video of a lady blacking out seconds after she took it. Minutes. I know I'm proudly declaring myself a science denier. The Earth's flat. We didn't evolve from apes. We literally live under a dome, and the Most High God sits on top. Space is fake. I hope this video touched some of your hearts. Like, subscribe, share. Talk to me down in the comments. God bless you.